This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I talk about our mock drafts 2.0, and we revisit our 1.0 mock drafts, as well as the winners and losers from the NFL Combine. We also briefly discuss how different trades could impact the NFL Draft. All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, he's Josh. We are back, and we are going to be talking about the NFL. Kind of a combination of the draft, because we're going to do our mock 2.0 this week, but also on top of that, we're going to talk about some storylines that are shaking up the draft as well. But Josh, I think you wanted to talk about something that has happened here in the last few days that, or when you're listening to this, probably about a week ago or so, of what's been happening in college football.
Yeah, so college football, obviously, there's a lot of prospects that are looking to get drafted, and guys currently playing right now hoping to improve their draft stock. And one of those guys that we anticipated would be maybe coming up in next year's draft is offensive lineman from Ohio State, Harry Miller. I'm sure a lot of your base is familiar with him. And there's been some concern about like what's taking him so long to get back into practice. Is like there's an injury going on that's just kind of lagging around. And he dropped, I think, a bombshell to most people on Twitter the other day, talking about how he's medically retiring, not because of the injury necessarily, but just mental health reasons. I mean, it was very in vivid graphic detail too. He told Ryan Day, Ohio State's head coach, he was going to kill himself. He even tried to play through games with cuts on his wrists and on his throat. And I guess that's just something that nobody ever really noticed, because he either had like wrist taped up, like an offensive lineman will, and then the chin guard and stuff like that can kind of hide some of that stuff. So it was just kind of like wild, because it's just one of those things where you never really see that coming, especially from as high caliber of a player as that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, Ben, being a Buckeye fan, but
it's interesting. I think about, I think about this from a Ohio State standpoint, right? Like it's tough. It's a tough loss. Like, they filled in really well when he was gone. But we all thought he was an injury, just like, maybe a long-term, undiagnosed, maybe he's just kind of figuring it out or whatever. Right. But honestly, if I look at it in the real world perspective, you got to give your hats to him of being honest in a world that it's very hard to, I think, be completely upfront and say, hey, this is what I was dealing with. And, again, we don't know where his life is at. Like we think that he's doing well, but we don't really know. Like we don't know what's going through. But I think what was cool in that statement, you sent it to me. I didn't know about it. Actually, you sent it to me. I hadn't seen it, and so I read it. And I was like just as in shock as you. Like, yeah, this is crazy. But if you read it, and I love what he said, because a lot of people have been kind of in the past few months doubting, kind of like saying things about Ohio State's program. I don't know if you heard about the transfers that were kind of bashing Ohio State's program. And to hear what
Williamson, Rose Bowl.
And did you hear what he said? And said if it wasn't for Ryan Day's program itself, he doesn't know like what would have happened. That sort of idea. To me, that is something that I think makes me love Ryan Day that much more, is the fact that you didn't even know about this. Nothing leaked out of the program. Nothing. No one knew about this. And that to me shows a coach that cares about his players, a program, players, and maybe even some of the players didn't know. We don't know. All we do know is that I think this is something that is serious. And I want to put out there to people, like, if you need that help, get help. If you need that, just someone to talk to, find that person. It's a place that is a very interesting place to be. Like, I've been depressed before. I've dealt with things before, not as far as him, but it can be a place that is very dark. And if you don't find that person, it's a tough thing to do. Any final thoughts for you, Josh, on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just validate, I guess, what you said about Ryan Day. I think, if I remember correctly, his dad also committed suicide. So
something like that, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
There's a head coach out there that I guess has any experience with these kind of situations, I'd imagine it's Ryan. And then, yeah, that is cool that they were able to keep that internal and not leak out any private details like that. And I also, I guess, will applaud Harry for, I guess, going into the details, because we hear about athletes all the time. I believe Lane Johnson from the Eagles, even Calvin Ridley from the Falcons, I think they all were taking time off to just deal with their mental health. They didn't really give any details on that, but we really saw what was going on with Harry, and that made it a little bit more real, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, and I think I hope he's going to be I hope he's still involved with college football in some case, or, helps athletes. Maybe he'll do that. I don't know. But yeah, we just wanted to talk about this before, we go into our whole mock draft and, joke and stuff, but it's serious stuff. And I'm sure I post editing this. If you're watching, I put it, the tweet that he put on screen, but yeah, it's a very surreal situation, and we do pray for all of you out there that do need that help and that extra just people to listen to. But anyways, moving from that note let's move to a more interesting note, Josh. I don't know if you briefly, before we get into our mock draft, briefly want to talk about some of the changes that are happening in the NFL that also has made our previous mock drafts look completely off-site.
Well, they really are. I mean, starting off, I think the biggest difference is going to be that the Broncos don't have that number 9 pick anymore. It belongs to the Seahawks, and that's because the Seahawks dealt Russell Wilson over to the Broncos in exchange for some first-round picks. Very interesting trade. I think it works out for both sides because the Broncos get a franchise QB and can now, while they're in win now mode, have that quarterback that can guide them there. And Seattle's kind of fallen off the last couple years, and it looks like now they're just committing to a full rebuild because they've made other moves like cutting Bobby Wagner, a franchise linebacker that is probably going to be a huge get for somebody in free agency. But that's one of the biggest ones. Also, the Packers keeping Aaron Rodgers in town, which is something that I definitely didn't see coming, as we talked, Ben, about if we were betting men, how we would go with that. And I thought Rodgers was going to be gone, but now that he's back, I feel like that changes. Well, it doesn't really change how I had him picking, but maybe it changes how other people had him picking. But
yeah, we both didn't go quarterback there in our previous mock draft.
Right. We figured they would either go like Jordan Love or something like that. But now that they do have Rodgers in town, I feel like you have to get a receiver that much more.
Hey, maybe I'm going to stick with my guard pick, Josh. Maybe I want to stick with the normal Packers way.
Well, we'll see once we get down to, I think it's pick 28, what we got going here. But even just some other buzz, Ben, like the Jaguars franchise tagged Cam Robinson, and that increased Aiden Hutchinson's odds from being the number 1 pick to plus 600 to as high as minus 250. So everybody's like, the Jags got the offensive line all set for 2022, which means they definitely won't be taking Evan Neal or Akeem Ekwonu now, right? But I'm not sure
they need like 2 good tackles, right?
The other thing about that too is like they only tagged Robinson, so is he even going to be on the team in 2023? Like that's not a long-term solution. It could be. Maybe they sign to a long-term extension eventually, but right now they only got their 2 tackles under contract for the 2022 season. So I think an offensive lineman is still a possibility here. But that is interesting that how Hutchinson just shot up like that.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the things that's interesting for me, right, is I love trades in this time. Like it's almost like our own March Madness without the basketball, right? And it's really interesting. I think there hasn't been any other moves. Well, there's been the Khalil Mack supposedly trade. They're sort of figuring out. Now, does that change what I have for the Chargers? Most likely not. For the Bears, I just want to ask, are you stupid? That's just like what I want to kind of ask, because my uncle's a Bears fan, and I know he's probably just so ticked off. They got their quarterback last year, and their defense was pretty solid, and then you just go and throw in the old
it's very interesting. But again, on the Chargers, they kept Mike Williams in town. Maybe they paid him a little bit more than I would have for an average of $20 million a year. The Buccaneers kept Chris Godwin in town, so maybe they don't go wide receiver with that pick like I initially thought. But you ready to dive into this, Ben? I think that
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. You want to start? Let's start. You start us off.
So I'm going to, for now, hop on the bandwagon of putting Evan Neal at number 1. And I'm going to tell you why.
Oh,
you kind of did it last time we did this mock draft. I saw him kind of going in number 1 in other people's mock drafts. But even if they have Cam Robinson at left tackle, Evan Neal has played all around Alabama's offensive line. He's had hundreds of snaps at guard, on the right side of the line, the left side of the line, and maybe Robinson is just a tag for now. and maybe he leaves later. We don't know that yet. But for now, I think Evan Neal, I mean, that's another great addition to the offensive line to help protect Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think tagging Robinson necessarily means they're going edge. They definitely could, but since Evan Neal has so much flexibility, I think he'd be a good pickup right here.
Ooh, I see people listening. This is what happens when the knowledge of Ben Bowden just comes out. And I just
also doesn't help that Kayvon Thibodeau was saying he couldn't handle the workload of doing the combine all day. I think that's gotten some people having him slide in their mocks too.
Just wait to see where I have Kayvon at. Just wait. Just wait to see that happen. But I'm going to stick with Evan Neal because I'm a genius. Everyone knows that. And so Evan Neal, I just believe that you could have Robinson and Evan Neal as your two bookends with Lawrence. You're not going to make the same mistake. Like, I'm sorry, do not go defense. Don't make the same mistake that the Bengals did last year and not have even extra help. It doesn't matter if Neal might only start half the games. You get a guy that's going to be there for a long term. He's a big dude. He's a scary looking dude, and he could make a difference. So I'm going to stick with Evan Neal because, well, Lawrence just needs to have a better year. Like, I'm rooting for Trevor Lawrence to have a decent year next year.
Lawrence also isn't as good under pressure as Joe Burrow, so protection is a little bit more important for that guy.
He's definitely not as mature as what Burrow was coming out of college, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, we're moving on to number 2, and this is where I have a change. Previously, I had Thibodeau, but we all know how his softness might enter the play. So I'm having the homeboy, and I know you had it last time, Aiden Hutchinson. I just think I was just skeptical. You knew this last time. I kind of was just like, does he shown enough, right? But the way he participated in the draft combine, and I think as way as he's going to do possibly in his pro day, I believe Aiden Hutchinson's, I'm not saying a lock 100%, but it's like a 90% lock that if he doesn't go 1, he's going to go 2. That's who I have.
I actually still have Hutch at number 2 as well. I don't think he's going to move up to number 1 as a lock, but I think he has passed Kayvon, it seems like, in everybody's mind as the best edge with how he performed at the combine. And plus the hometown fit in Detroit just kind of feels right. So I'm going to keep Hutch at number 2.
And you know what, on Kayvon, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a Zion Williamson of football. He's got all this hype. He's been hyped up since the time he entered. He's the next guy. And obviously with Zion was injuries, but it was also kind of the attitude, the work ethic people doubted at times. And I almost wonder if Kayvon's going to be that guy. Like, he's been so hyped.
He even was asked that, I think, the combine about his commitment to football and stuff like that.
Because I feel like he just wants to make money. Sometimes I feel like Kayvon, look what he wears, and nothing against what he wears. I'm just saying it just feels like he's about like that show, life, and almost like, do you want to go to LA? Do we see him go to LA? That's all I'm saying. It kind of feels that way. But Josh, now I obviously went quarterback with the 3rd pick during my first mock draft. Who do you have? You had Evan Neal, so obviously it's going to be a different pick. So who do you got?
Yeah, I'm actually sticking with the O-line here, and I'm going to go with the Akeem Ekwonu at number 3. Yeah. We don't know who's going to play quarterback in Houston. I don't think that they're going to draft one necessarily until we finally see something happen with Deshaun Watson. That could happen soon before the draft, so maybe that'll affect our mock 3.0. But for now, I think you got to get somebody to protect whoever the heck is going to play quarterback, open up some holes for your running backs and Akeem Ekwonu. I mean, some people have him as left tackle number 1. The only reason I went with Neal is because I think they are pretty even, but I like Neal's flexibility. So that's why I have him going number 1, and Ekwonu's definitely a good pick here at number 3.
What do you think for do you think they need Evan? Do you think that we could see 5 O-linemen, 4 O-linemen go in the top 10? I mean, I had 5 previously. What do you think?
There's a lot of good O-line prospects here. So it's never a bad pick to add protection, like add depth to that offensive line. So it definitely could happen. I think there are some teams here that have a little bit more glaring needs that could push some of these guys a little bit. A couple picks back maybe at the most, and then become a value pick for somebody else. But it very well could be like 4 or 5 in the top 10.
Do you remember a draft that had this many O-linemen in the top 10, like projected? Do you remember a time when there was this many? I can't physically remember where there was more than like one or two.
Do you remember what year it was when like EJ Manuel was the first QB taken and he fell to like number
It was like
13?
20. Was that 2013?
Maybe. And I think
Something
Eric
like that?
Fisher might have been the first pick.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Then Luke Jockle, I want to say, was another high prospect in that draft. Maybe. I might just be remembering like different years and stuff. But I think that might have been one where like the quarterbacks fell and that opened the hole for a lot of linemen to be picked.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I'm sticking with Malik Willis at number 3. I'm not moving. Malik is going number 3. I still feel it in my heart. I still feel it. I think if they would have got, I was actually thinking, will they get rid of Watson? We don't know. Do I think he's going to play for the Houston Texans again? I said this last time. No. I think you have to have something. Nothing against what's his name? That's quarterback now.
Davis Mills.
Like I think he's a quality. Like I think he can get you there if you need him to. But I think you go with the stardom, the arm strength, the athleticism, Malik Willis. I'm gonna go Malik Willis still at number 3 for my mock draft.
I've seen some mocks have Malik going as high as number 2. So
that is crazy. I'm sorry. That's nuts.
I don't think that if this was any other draft, if he was in any other QB class, that they would be thinking he'd go this high. Because
I mean, if he's in next year's class, he's maybe the 4th quarterback off the board, maybe 5. So
I mean, QB, we always see like teams have that need, and so they will reach regardless if the skill level is like the 3rd best player in the draft or not.
Yeah, I agree. And so with my 4th pick, I'm actually my like top 5 haven't really. I mean, 3 of my top 5 haven't changed. Number 4, I'm going to stick with it. Ike Ekwonu. I'm going a pick later than you, but I think he's proven to be that number 2 offensive tackle, maybe number 1 in some people's eyes. But I just think he's a very solid guy, and I think Wilson needs protection like bad at times. So I'm going to go Ike Ekwonu. You had Derek Stingley, which I wasn't that high on due to the injury concerns for me. Right. You had him at 4. What are you doing? What are you doing with this pick?
I'm still having him go secondary here, and you did bring up a good point about the injury. And since I did have Kyle Hamilton kind of late at pick number 11, I decided to bump him up to number 4 here with the Jets because it still fits a need in the secondary. They were terrible in terms of forcing turnovers and allowing passing yards, and it is a big need. And since they did draft Mekhi Becton as a tackle in last year's draft, I think this year at least with this pick, they're going to go and address that secondary. They definitely could go offensive line here. Like they could grab a guy like Charles Cross. Wouldn't be a bad option here. But Kyle Hamilton, I think, fits a little bit bigger of a need right now for the Jets.
Yeah.
And the talent level is there for him. Best safety in this draft by far.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, do I think he'll go that way? Well, I had Hutchinson at this next pick. But I won't do it because I'm going to steal your thunder and you're supposed to go. So I'm not going to say that because that's mean. Okay. But I will say with this about Hamilton, I don't see him leaving the top 10. I personally don't.
Right.
I think there's a few spots.
There's not really many teams that need a safety. So this could be a guy that maybe has somebody trade up to get him. He goes to number 4 right here, the Jets. But like I had him at number 11 last week, and I was just like, that's just so low. I don't like that. I think he will go higher than that. So right here with the Jets, I think that makes sense.
Just so everyone knows, he was like so annoyed at his own draft, mock draft, by the way. Like
I did. On the poll on Instagram, I voted for yours.
You were so annoyed at this. And I just started laughing because I just thought it was funny. But we go from one New York team to another New York team. What are you thinking the Giants are going to do here with this pick? You had Malik Willis. Do they stick with Malik Willis at this
They're
pick?
going to stick with Malik Willis, and I've thought about this more, Ben, and I think another reason that the Giants are going to take a quarterback here is because a new general manager is in town, and we all know that new GMs like to go and get, quote-unquote, their guy. And Daniel Jones hasn't given the Giants organization any reason to keep him around any longer than what he already has. I think this is going on to year 4 for him. The only saving grace here is, I guess, that it's not so bad that they passed on Dwayne Haskins because he has been even worse. So right now, this new GM, sorry, Buckeye fans, but I think you'd agree with me mostly. But number 5, the Giants are taking a QB here. Regardless, maybe if Malik goes 3 to the Texans, I think they're still going to take a quarterback, and it'd be Kenny Pickett. But at least in my mock, I don't have any QBs taken yet. So Malik Willis, my QB1, going number 5 to the Giants.
We both are on the same page here, I think. So, but I'm not obviously going quarterback with this pick. I had Hutchinson here. Obviously, I moved him up to 2. Here, I'm actually going with another edge rusher. But I had him way down at, I believe, goodness, I had him down at, I think, 14. This is where I had this guy at. Trayvon Walker from Georgia.
Yeah, had a heck of a combine, man.
Heck of a combine.
Another freak on that Georgia defense.
Dude, he's as I watched him, I'm like, this dude is like legit good. So I have Trayvon Walker. I think overall he's just the right fit. I originally had Hutchinson going here, but Hutchinson's kind of proven. And Kayvon Thibodeau, as you see in mine, is still not gone. And you'll just see where he falls. So, so that's where I have there. Number 6, this is where I get depressed because I believed in Trevor Penning. I still do. But this is way too high, I'm realizing, for him. Again, I was a hopeful Northern Iowa. Like, you don't hear that name, and he's a very good talent. Don't get me wrong. I just think there's another guy that's a tackle that I think goes above him, and that's Charles Cross. So for the Panthers, I still think they need a tackle. They need a guy that can be whatever they do with McCaffrey, whatever they do at quarterback, they needed someone there to be that edge kind of guy to block. They could go quarterback here. I was tempted to go like Kenny Pickett here, but I'm going to leave Charles Cross from Mississippi State here at 6 with the Panthers. Josh, you went quarterback here. Do you stick with your pick here?
I'm not going quarterback here, and that's just because the room is still crowded with like all these, I guess, quote unquote bridge QBs like Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, Cam Newton. They haven't really cleared that yet.
Yeah.
Plus, I think you do bring up a good point that the offensive line definitely needs fixed regardless who that quarterback is because of how pressured the guys like Darnold were last year. They need to fix that, and I'm going to actually go with Charles Cross here as well.
Wow.
We matched. Yeah, I do like that pick. You convinced me last week that that would probably be a better pick than a QB right here because I was kind of juggling, like, do they go O-line here? Do they do quarterback? Because those are like the two biggest glaring needs, I guess. And I think you could get by a little bit with either one of those 3 at QB because Sam Darnold did start off good. Cam Newton had his moments. PJ Walker had his moments, but O-line definitely needs fixed regardless.
I mean,
position.
PJ Walker had moments not kicking the ball. He had terrible moments kicking the ball. But yes, I agree with you. I think we're on the same page with that one. So yeah, what do you have here? Now the Giants, obviously they're the lucky ones because the Browns can never get this, having 2 picks and 3 picks. So the Giants here, you went Icky. Sorry, that just sounds funny. You have him going obviously a lot earlier. So what do they do here? I mean, you got Charles Crosses off the board. This is a weird spot for them. What do they do here? So
all the elite O-line prospects are taken at this point, and I did think last time that we did this that the Giants would go ahead and get an offensive lineman to help protect their new franchise QB Malik Willis. That could still be the case, but obviously now Icky's not on the board here, neither is Charles Cross or any of the others. So I think
Trevor Penning's still there.
He is, but I wouldn't take him this high myself, and I don't think the Giants would either. So I think
what is the Giants? It is the Giants.
So I mean, mock drafts are a little bit of a mix of what I would do and what I think they'll do, but this is where Kayvon Thibodeau goes, I think, Ben. They're gonna flip over to the defense. They're gonna get hopefully what will be for them a franchise edge rusher. That is a need for them, and it does kind of fit KT. We're talking about him wanting to be in a big city. It's not LA, but New York City is almost as good. So
nice. Okay, I got you. I'm sticking on the defense side of the ball. I'm actually going to stick with my pick from my mock 1.0. I'm going Kyle Hamilton here. Okay. I think this is probably the farthest you see him go without either the Giants picking him earlier or the Jets picking him. Or, I mean, there's a case where I can see the Panthers being just the Panthers and going, let's just get Kyle Hamilton because that makes sense. Even though,
like, a couple drafts ago, they took literally all defensive players. They've made trades for guys like CJ Henderson, Stephon Gilmore, but no, we need more defensive help.
But, I mean, when you have a talent like Kyle Hamilton, it's very hard to go, ooh. So I think I've said this. I think the Giants could flip-flop. I think they could take Kyle Hamilton at 5 and then take Trayvon Walker at 7. So for me, it's fluid. I think that might switch on our 3.0. I think I easily could even see Kyle Hamilton going 5. So that's for me. Then we move on to the Falcons. I had a quarterback. I had my second quarterback in Kenny Pickett. I'm high on Kenny Pickett. I think he is a guy that could play really well behind Matt Ryan. This is where I have KT going. So you had him going at 7. I have him going here. To me, I can see them taking a quarterback, but I think it's too high to have Matt Ryan still start and then pay a rookie quarterback money to not know, is Matt Ryan going to be here 2 more years? Is he going to be here 3 more years? We don't know. He's getting paid a lot of money as well. We don't know. Yeah. So I have KD. They wish they had KD. KT going here. So KT is going to go where Kenny Pickett was going in my 1.0. I just think, even with all the concerns with KT, I think this is probably the bottom of that top 10. We could see him going. Would he go farther? Do you think he slips farther? Possibly. But I think that there's just so much talent, raw talent with him, that you see him go here.
Yeah, I don't think a guy that had been projected to go number 1 for so long slips out of the top 10 just because of a couple of these things. It just may mean he won't be the first player taken. But I agree with you that Falcons are going to go edge here. That's just the biggest glaring need. I've heard some people say they should go receiver now because of Calvin Ridley, and I'm like, that's still only a season.
Which, by the way, that the dude doesn't need to say he had $1,500. I heard someone say that just even makes you more stupid. The fact that you only won $1,500 from it.
It's true, yeah. Now he's losing, I think, 10 or 11 million, they said this year. So edge is the biggest need, and you'll like this pick, Ben. Best available edge here is Trayvon Walker for me. So I did initially have them taking George Karlaftis here.
George didn't really give me the oomph at the combine or anything.
Yeah, I like George still, and he's still going to go relatively high in my mock, but I think Walker got a little bit more love here. So I'm going to go Trayvon Walker here as the edge.
Ooh, I like it. Now we have not the Broncos. Originally it was the Broncos here. Now we have the Seahawks. And I have a funny feeling where both of us are going with this one. I don't know why. But Josh, what are you doing? Originally you had Nakobe Dean going to the Broncos. We felt that was both a good fit for them. I had Charles Cross, which is obviously off the board for me. Who are you going to go with the Seahawks here as they've traded the franchise player, the guy that everyone loves?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
I honestly think that what Seattle's doing is setting themselves up to tank to get one of those top QB prospects next year.
Ooh.
Just some of the moves they've been making with cutting Bobby Wagner, which even letting Bobby Wagner go, it made me think, well, now they have a need at linebacker. Nakobe Dean still could be the number 9 pick here. But yeah, it's tough to say where Seattle might go here, but I got them fixing up the secondary and taking Derek Stingley here. I like Stingley as a talent still. Yeah, it does fit a need at corner for Seattle. He pairs up with a former LSU Tiger back there, Jamal Adams. So this is a need that Seattle can address while also, I think, still continuing its ability to tank and get a top QB prospect next year.
See, I was thinking the same way as you. I was. But then I'm thinking it's Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll, I feel like, doesn't want to just tank. Like, there's just something about Pete Carroll that he always wants to just at least put some product out there, right? So I personally think this is where my second quarterback comes off the board. I think they're going to go out and get Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett's a guy that, and maybe I'm wrong. And maybe, to be honest, they could get Kenny Pickett now, and then next year would be bad and get another quarterback.
Have you seen Drew Lock throw a football, Ben?
Yes, I have. It's
all right. I guess that's why you're going Kenny Pickett here.
Yes. So I'm going to go Kenny Pickett to the Seahawks. I think it's a good fit I think Pete Carroll could do a lot with him, a guy that's already kind of ready, that just needs a few tune-ups and so on. So that's what I have for Kenny Pickett going to the Seahawks, as Russell Wilson is now a Denver Bronco. Now, we have the Jets again, because, again, it's only the 2 New York teams that would totally get this perfectly to where they have
in the top 10, each of them. Yeah.
I was thinking going Garrett Wilson. I was.
Yes.
But I am not. I am not going Garrett Wilson, Josh, because I'm sticking with the sauce. The sauce is still going top 10. I don't have another corner. You have a corner going at 9, right? Yeah, you had Stingley going at 9. So I have Sauce going at 10. I still think he is the best overall, personally. and he's my corner number one. I think he's going to go into 10. I just think Garrett Wilson's there, but I think if you're the Jets, yeah, you could get a guy like Garrett Wilson, and they probably will. But I think Sauce Gardner's a guy that can really shore up that secondary for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to call your integrity into question here, Ben, but I think you really want Wilson to follow the Browns, and that's why you're making this move, to be honest.
Stop it. I'm not. Maybe a slightly.
Well, I do have Garrett Wilson here going to the Jets. I think we're both on the same page that he's wide receiver 1, and I really think that the Jets are going to take a wide receiver with one of these picks here just because it is a need. And Garrett Wilson's just too good of a prospect for me to pass up here if I'm the Jets. So,
hey, we all have our thoughts, Josh. We all have our reasonings and thoughts. All right, so now we're moving into the second part of the first round here at 11, which is the Washington Commanders, who now have Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So that's a new one that we didn't talk about.
Out of draft now.
This is interesting because I'm switching it all up right now. I'm switching it all up. Sort of, not really. But you're going to go because it's your pick. So I'm not going to, you went Kyle Hamilton here, which was just crazy.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton will not be available at number 11. I'm realizing
you're just nuts. You're nuts. All right.
It did really need though for them, I felt like. But now that they do have Carson Wentz, I definitely think they aren't drafting a quarterback. I thought maybe now that they have a quarterback that they would draft a receiver, especially since Terry McLaurin was the only receiver that got 1,000 yards for them last year. And then the next best guy was a running back.
Where was he from? Wide receiver U. That's right.
Wide receiver U. Yeah. So if they didn't have Curtis Samuel, who was hurt last season.
Also from wide receiver U.
Yes. But Curtis Samuel had improved all 4 years of his time in Carolina. And then last year would have been his first year in Washington, and he got hurt. So I do have to remember that he is going to be back. So maybe wide receiver isn't as big of a need as what I thought when I was looking through the roster. But they still could go and get another weapon here for Carson Wentz. You never know. But I'm going with a pick here that fills a need and who's a guy that I believe is a top 15 talent in this draft, and that's Nakobe Dean.
Ooh. So, yeah.
I don't think he falls out of the top 15, Ben, but right here is one of those teams just linebacker feels a need for him. So to help out the defense a little bit, Ron Rivera is a defensive coach.
Yeah. So. I honestly, this is where I was thinking, because I had him at 12 and I was thinking about moving him up. Like I really thought Nakobe Dean, this kind of fits.
Some of these mocks have him going in the 20s, and I'm like, there's no way he lasts that long. There's no way.
So I'm not going Stingley. This is where I had Stingley. Stingley's dropping just not too much for me. I am going to shock you, Mr. Burris. Garrett Wilson the Commanders. Okay. Garrett Wilson. This is why I say this.
I have judged you wrong, Ben. I apologize.
This is why I say this. One, teaming up him with McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. I mean, that's a dream for Ohio State fans, right?
Fan dream.
But I'll be honest. Also, I just want to point out that every Ohio State receiver outside of like McLaurin were injured last year. Paris Campbell. I mean, you go down the list. So they were just injury prone, I think. But Garrett Wilson, I think he is a guy that, yes, I would love to see him on the Browns. And if the Browns could get him, oh my goodness, I would be over the moon. I think if you teamed him up with McLaurin, you put Curtis Samuel at the slot, dude, that is a triple threat for Wentz. If Samuel's healthy, that could do damage against some of these NFC East teams. Stingley would have been a good pick here, but I think Stingley's just up in the air for me. He's always been. And so I just think he'll slip in there. So that's who I have at 11 with the Commanders. At 12, this is where I had, obviously I had Nakobe Dean here. And I'm sticking with Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean is going to stay here with the Vikings. I think he's just a good talent. Like you don't pass up a good talent. I agree with you. I think me and you are very high on him. There's a lot of other people that aren't, I think, for some reason. We're both very high on him. I think we both agree that he's linebacker 1. And I don't think it's really that close. So yeah, that's who I got with them at the Vikings at 12.
Yeah, Vikings needs are all on the defensive end, in my opinion. They got the offensive skill. They got a serviceable quarterback in Kirk. But right here, I'm going to take your man Sauce Gardner here at number 12. Fulfills a need in the secondary, becomes maybe cornerback number 1 for that team in the future. Just a good pick. I like Stingley a little bit better as a talent. Obviously, the injury concerns are there, but I still like him as the number 1 corner. But then Sauce is a very close number 2 here at number 12.
Oh, I love Sauce Gardner. One is just his name's freaking amazing. And I love their coach. The coach that coached him was really cool too. He's at Ohio State now, but still. So next is our beloved Browns. That will probably screw this up. Let's be honest. I don't want to say that, but we just have listen, if you're not a Browns fan, you don't understand the horrors that Josh and I have gone through. Corey Coleman one year. We had Johnny Manziel another year. Like, listen, we've gone through horror after horror. Now, lately it's been good. I'm just saying we always have to be ready for the worst as a Browns fan. Just saying. I do have to say though, like since John Dorsey and now Andrew Berry have been drafting for the Browns, there really haven't been too many picks, at least early on, that I've been upset about. It's been more of like the mid rounds. It's like, okay, why did we do that? But at least for the top ones, they haven't really messed up yet. True. So who do you got? Who do you got the Browns taking? I know you went Drake London.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Drake London anymore. I think Cleveland's definitely taken receiver with pick number 13. And I thought Drake, being a bigger body receiver, was the man to take here because of how small Jarvis Landry and Donovan Peoples-Jones are in comparison. I still have them going receiver here. And after seeing him perform at the Combine, Ben, I am going to bump up Chris Olave to 13.
Yes.
Even though he is not the 6'5", 220-pound body that Drake London is, he wowed me enough. I think he's kind of been under the radar just because of how Jackson Smith and Jigba and Garrett have been performing at Ohio State. So Olave, I mean, we kind of forgot it. Well, you obviously have forgotten about him being a Buckeye fan, but some of us outsiders have maybe forgotten about him a little bit. And then after seeing him run his routes on film,
dude's amazing.
Like that, it's just like I would love to see that receiver that we take here, number 13, be Chris Olave.
All I'm saying is, Josh, is we are on point today because I have Chris Olave going here. I said this. I told you this last time. I said he's underrated. People kind of don't really see, like, and we talked about this on last week's episode, how his combine, people were kind of shocked. And I'm like, I'm not that shocked. Like, maybe the speed wise, but the guy is just, he's gifted. And I think Chris Olave, remember the talk before the season was Chris Olave 1, Garrett Wilson 2, or Wilson 1, Olave 2 in the draft. That's what they were talking about. And then it came, well, Chris Olave might be late first round, early second. And I'm like, hold up. Just because the guy didn't have 1,000 yards doesn't mean the dude's not amazing. And so I think if the Browns could land Chris Olave, they would have a faster Jarvis Landry and better hands than Donovan Peoples-Jones at times. That's what they would have.
And I mean, the guy is a deep threat too. He's efficient with the touchdown. Yep. He just might not be that guy that can go up and get the jump balls like maybe Drake London could, just because Olave is only 6 feet. But he still can be that deep threat that I think we need with his speed.
And he's from Ohio State. And I think too many times, like, I think there's just that story element too. Like, if you can't get Wilson, hey, why don't you get the second best option that's out there? And
there's
another
a lot
high
of
state
picks I've been making like that, Ben. Like Hutchinson to the Lions, staying in the state of Michigan. Olave staying in the state of Ohio, going to the Browns. And you'll find that there's a couple more picks that I have like that just kind of feel good. Maybe not necessarily happen, but they seem to feel right, at least in my book right now.
Yeah. So I have Chris Olave going here. Now here at the Ravens, I didn't know where I was going to go. Obviously, Trayvon Walker's who I had originally. Mm-hmm. I could have went another edge. The issue with the Ravens, and I'm bringing up their roster right now, and this is because I wanted to share this a little bit. Mm-hmm. The reason I have with the Ravens, like, they're not terrible at like any.
They just had so many injuries last year that really hurt them.
Exactly. So,
no pun intended.
So this is what I was thinking. Like, where do they go with this? They could go a lot of ways. And I thought, as I'm thinking, do they go edge? And I'm like, nah, I just don't see it anymore without Trayvon Walker there, because they need a bigger guy, because they run a 3-4, or they need a guy that's Jermaine Johnson was my thought possibly, but I'm actually going to go Derek Stingley here. I think you get another corner that we saw what happened to their defensive backs. I mean, they were riddled with injuries. It doesn't help that I'm getting Derek Stingley, but that's still, I think he's a talent that he's a top 5 talent. If he stays healthy, you get him at 14. I think it's a really good selection. So I'm going Derek Stingley here. You had Jermaine Johnson. Are you sticking with it?
I'm sticking with edge at least. You did bring up a good point about secondary depth, and the Ravens did allow the most passing yards last year, I believe, if I remember correctly. But that is also because Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters were dealing with some injuries.
Yeah.
So you're going to have them both back healthy. Obviously, it doesn't hurt to have some depth, so maybe that doesn't happen again if both of those guys get hurt. But another reason why I think the pass defense was getting hammered so bad is because they just didn't have that clear pass rush for them. So I am having them go edge here. I did have Jermaine, I think, initially, but since George Karlaftis is available here, I like him better than Jermaine. Yeah. That's going to be my number pick or 14th pick right here.
I like it. I like it. And I'm actually, so I mean, I agree with that. And I think they could go edge here too. I just think with Stingley still sitting there, you go, let's get a guy that's pretty talented as well. So now we got the Eagles back-to-back picks. Let's just go both your picks, and then I'll go both mine. That way, it's just easier that way. So start with your 2 picks. You had Jamison Williams originally and Devin Lloyd. Are you sticking with those 2, or are you swapping around?
Those 2 picks are not changing for me, Ben. Ooh. I think even though Jamison Williams did not perform at the combine, you still got to respect the talent that he has. And then Devin Lloyd, the best available linebacker right here for him. I think him and Nakobe Dean are the 2 best. And then they just kind of there's everybody else after that. So all the Eagles fans I know have been telling me that their needs are wide receiver, linebacker, and safety, and they can address 2 of those with 2 big-time prospects right here.
I agree with you on the Devin Lloyd. So at 16, I have the Eagles picking Devin Lloyd. I think it's a
could go 15 there. Devin Lloyd, 16 Jamison Williams too. I don't know. Yeah,
either way. Now, if Nakobe Dean would somehow fall to the Eagles, I mean, they would take him in a heartbeat, right. I think, whatever. But I'm actually had Jermaine Johnson at 15. I'm changing that to George, my man George Karlaftis. There we go. Can never say his name. I think Jermaine Johnson, not that he's bad. I just think George is one of those guys that, as I thought about it more, I had him. Geez, where did I even have him? I had him at, oh goodness, I had him at 24 at the Cowboys. I just think George is one of those guys that he's just like a weird freak. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, he's just big, he's long. He's not super fast, but he's a guy that can do the job that needs to be done. So that's why I have him there. Devin Lloyd at 16. So that's what I have. I mean, I think we're both kind of on the same page in those sense. At 17, I had Chris Olave. Well, obviously he's going to the Browns. We all know.
Going to the Browns, and now the Chargers have extended Mike Williams. Yes. I don't think that there's any chance they go receiver here. That's just not a need right now.
Now, I originally was thinking Jameis Williams, but I changed my mind. Like, no. I'm going to go with the pick you had and a guy who's skyrocketed, who I look terrible now. If you look at where I had Jordan Davis, I had him at 32. All right. I had that man at 32.
There's no way he's falling that far. There's absolutely no way.
Listen, you got about 30 wrong. I got 1 wrong. Okay. Let's just correct that now. Okay.
Okay.
Chargers are going Jordan Davis. I think it's a perfect spot for him. Again, I think if Williams didn't re-sign, this would have changed for me, and I would have went probably Jamison Williams here. But again, I think I have to go Jordan Davis. He's a freak. The dude's scary looking. We talked about it on last week's episode when we were just covering the combine. The dude's scary when you look at him straight face to face.
That 40 time and broad jump he had, that just shows how explosive this man is. And I'm sticking with the Jordan Davis pick here too. I think talent-wise, I mean, this guy should be a top 10 pick, but there's just not any.
So you don't think he could go up? You don't think he can move up to like any of these teams?
He can definitely move up. I just think that other team, there's not really a team that has a glaring need for a defensive tackle. So I think because of that, Jordan's going to fall, and a team that really needs one is going to get an incredibly valuable pick.
What do you think about the Ravens though? Like, do you think the Ravens might go, hey, this guy could play the 3 technique. This guy could play a 2 technique. He's got to play a 4 technique, maybe even a little bit here and there. What do you think? Do you think you could see possibly?
It's possible. Like, I mean, I think Jordan Davis is a top 10 talent. So I think that means that he could go top 10. I just think that other teams got some other needs, but it is a possibility. But I also like the thought of Joey Bosa, now Khalil Mack, and Jordan Davis on the same defensive line for the Chargers. Can you imagine how tough it's going to be to block those guys? That's how much I love Jordan Davis, Ben. I was flirting with the idea of having him go number 13 to the Browns because we kind of
– dude, we need that.
We don't have a really strong interior
defense. They've been saying line. That. If you look at the mocks, no one's been putting wide receiver for the Browns. Everyone's been putting defensive linemen. I'm like, okay, I get that, but we need
receivers. We had a top 10 defense, though, with average interior defensive line. So that's the only reason why I decided not to do that.
And we got my man Tommy Togiai, okay? We got the beast incarnate.
We hope that he can be something, but hey, also Jadeveon Clowney looks like he might be on his way out. So
which
until
sucks.
We know that for sure, yeah, that the defensive line could be a need because then we have average interior defensive line. We also are missing a big time edge with Jadeveon. So maybe the defensive line becomes an area that we need to address, and Jordan Davis could be that guy. But these are just questions that we don't know yet. I wanted to point out it was very tempting for me to have Jordan Davis go number 13, but 17 right here, the Chargers fills a need. Big time talent, makes the defensive line absolutely loaded.
And I think even like our 3.0 will be definitely more specific on what we really
By then we'll know who's getting tagged and who got cut and things like that.
Yeah.
All of them.
So now we are on to the Saints. We both agreed last time on Sam Howell as a quarterback from North Carolina. Josh, are you sticking with Sam Howell here? Are you sticking with a quarterback first, and are you sticking with Sam Howell?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that now after thinking about it a little bit more. I think you can at least function with Jameis Winston at QB because remember, his last season in Tampa Bay, the man was a gunslinger. He threw over 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. It was just the interceptions that were a problem. But if you are going to go with Jameis at QB, you need to get the man some targets because he is going to have Michael Thomas back. But then the next best guys like Marquez, Callaway, I think he was the leading receiver last year, and he didn't even get 700 yards. They need some targets, regardless of who's playing quarterback. They're going to go ahead and take Treylon Burks here. I got Burks.
My man.
Yeah. I think Burks was very highly thought of going into the combine, and while he didn't have an awful combine, he didn't have an insane combine. So I think some of those guys that have the talent and also performed at the combine like Olave are going to jump him here. And Treylon Burks, I like him going number 18 here to the Saints, help out QB, whoever that is. I just don't think that's there's many QBs we're taking. I've always thought that the quarterbacks that are going to be taken, if any of them in this first round, are only going to be taken because the team just needs one. But
you mean not Taysom Hill? You mean Taysom Hill's not going to be the quarterback for the Saints?
Hopefully for Taysom's sake, he's a quarterback so he can make about $50 million more dollars.
Stupid. Stupid.
But,
that was like Sean Payton's parting gift. He's like, hey, here, screw you guys. I'm going to leave this huge concrete.
Money and dip. Yeah.
So I'm obviously going to not stick with Sam Howell. I know. I am shocking people probably here. Sam Howell not going here. I was thinking keeping Sam Howell, but as I thought, I was in the similar mindset as you. Jameis Winston he's a very good quarterback if you put him in the right system and you have the right people around him. So that's why
with Evans and Godwin.
So that's why I'm going to go with Jameson Williams here. I think Jameson Williams, this was like the one spot I felt like it would be perfect. You have Michael Thomas on the outside that kind of is that not a deep threat. You put Jameson Williams out there, he's going to burn people. And I think it's a good spot. He can do some kick returning a little bit too. So I have Jameson Williams going to 18 to the Saints. Just makes sense.
Pretty sure Jameson probably knows Michael too from recruiting trips to Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, he probably knows him a little bit. I think that's going to be I think it'll be an interesting relationship with those. I mean, obviously he's an ex-Buckeye, so we'll see how that goes. But 19, we're back to the Eagles because, well, the Eagles. And I went Drake London, but that was a mistake, as I'm starting to realize. I'm actually going to go the guy you just went a pick before me. I'm going Burks here. I think Burks is a good fit for I was stupid to have him so low. I'm so high on him, but I had him so low. So I'm going to go Burks here. And you went Lewis Cine or however you pronounce it. Are you sticking with that?
I am, yeah. Safety's still a need for the Eagles. Lewis Cine is one of those freaks from the Georgia defense. I don't think this is a reach here for them. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with that pick. Now they got their receiver, they got their linebacker, they got their safety.
So Oh, but that is true. They kind of covered everything there. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you had Matt Corral. I had the glorious Desmond Ritter. So where are you going with this pick? Are you sticking with quarterback? Does this become Sam Howell, or do you say they go away from it and have my man Dwayne Haskins as quarterback?
I'm sticking with the quarterback here, but since this man is available still in this new mock that I have, Kenny Pickett.
I forgot. I forgot Kenny Pickett is still available for you.
Yes. So Kenny Pickett staying in Pittsburgh, just another one of those picks. We know that Mason Rudolph is not that man. I don't think Dwayne Haskins is that man for them. Kenny Pickett, I'm not super high on him as a talent, but as a QB, I think Pittsburgh could make it work. And
he seems like a Pittsburgh guy. Like, you just look at him, he seems like a guy
he
would play for them.
So he knows the city.
Yes, I know that.
But Pittsburgh just kind of has some dogs all around. Like, they got guys like Claypool in there. They got guys like TJ Watt, Cam Hayward. Very similar to when Ben Roethlisberger was coming up with the team. Like, he just was surrounded by talent, and they succeeded more so because of who was around, they had around him, and Ben was just kind of like managing stuff. I think a quarterback like Kenny Pickett could do something similar to that, step into a decent situation. He's got Najee back there at running back as well. I'm just remembering now the secondary, if they can keep Joe Hayden, they also have, I believe, Minka Fitzpatrick back there too. So it's a team that I think is still set up to win now. I've never seen the Steelers try to tank before. So maybe Kenny Pickett's that guy that can step in just like Ben Roethlisberger did as a young QB and keep this thing going for him.
Now, I went obviously Desmond Ritter here. In my previous draft, right? Like previous mock draft, Desmond Ritter. You thought I was crazy. Not necessarily the talent, like where he was picked.
I'm higher on Desmond Ritter than I was the last mock, but I still don't think he's a round one talent.
And I'll be honest with you. Do I back out and do I concede to everyone saying that he is not number 20 to the Steelers?
You do have Sam Howell still available in yours, and you had him initially going higher before.
I'll be honest. I am totally backing out because Sam Howell sitting there, and they're going to take Sam Howell. Now, I think Desmond Ritter, if Sam Howell went out higher, Desmond Ritter goes here. Desmond, I still think you're amazing, okay?
The best QB available in your mind, though, is Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. So Sam Howell going here to the Steelers, obviously, at 20. So now we have into the last part of the draft of the first round of the draft. Here's where it gets just kind of weird and funky and weird and all that fun stuff. You went Chris Olave. I went Trent McDuffie. I think Trent McDuffie is kind of the guy that kind of fit at that moment. Not necessarily they needed that, but I just kind of felt that. I'm still going to stick with it. I didn't really know where to go with it, and I'm not going to change it if it ain't broke, at least yet. So I'm going to go Trent McDuffie here, cornerback, Washington. Going to stick with it.
Yeah, I'm going to change my pick, obviously, because Olave is not here. And I'm also not going to go receiver here because after I thought more about it, Ben, New England just doesn't take receivers round one.
No, they don't.
Plus one of my combine winners, Alec Pierce from Cincinnati, is a fast white receiver that I could see Belichick taking later in the draft. That's just like a Belichick move, right?
But he's not a white guy. He's not a white guy, though. Like, you got to like a short white guy. Okay, he is.
White.
Is he? Oh, maybe he is.
Sure. If not him, then Slade Bolden, another, I think either tight end or wide receiver from Alabama. That's just kind of like what New England does. So as much as they need a receiver, it's just not what New England does, taking receivers round one. So I was looking through defensive line, especially the pass rush was kind of lacking last year. And after they cut Kyle Van Noy, who was second on the team in sacks with just 5, I'm just kind of like, okay, they need an edge, and Jermaine Johnson's available here. So I think that's a pick that better suits who New England is and also feels a need.
It's a good pick. I like that. I kind of like that sometimes better than mine, but that's besides the point. So we got the Raiders next, the Las Vegas Raiders. I went Jameis Williams. He's off the board. You went Roger McCreary. So we got the Raiders. Interesting place, interesting team. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the McCreary pick for now, just because secondary is still a concern of mine for the Raiders. Something needs to be able to get better. They need to be able to force some turnovers back there, get a little bit more PBUs. So I'm going to stick with Roger McCreary, who I think is the best corner available here at the moment for him. Plus, after Damon Arnett decide to go wild. I mean, it's that much bigger of a need. But receiver is also going to be a need because Henry Ruggs isn't there anymore, and Deshaun Jackson's a free agent. So maybe they go receiver here. But I think Derek Carr has shown the ability that he can use guys like Zay Jones, and Darren Waller will be back fully healthy, and Hunter Renfrow. Like, I think you can get a little bit more by with that than the current secondary that they have in the building right now.
You know, I had Jameson Williams. Obviously, I was thinking going receiver. I was thinking going cornerback. A lot of names were thinking. I was also thinking about going a guy that is kind of popped on my radar lately is by a guy named Boye Mafe from Minnesota. He's I think an interior defensive lineman outside, but no, I didn't, because that's what everyone else is doing. So I'm going to be different because I'm different. But I am going D-line though, and I'm actually going to go Jermaine Johnson. He was still on my board. I think Jermaine Johnson going here kind of fits that need on the opposite side of Crosby. That gives a very good tandem there to do some damage. So that's why I got there. Next, we have the Cardinals. I went Bernard Raymond, who most people have never heard of.
I saw him in a first-round mock draft, though, Ben. I can't remember whose mock it was, but
I'm just saying the guy's from Austria. You know, these Europeans. But I am sticking with tackle, though. I am going to stick with tackle. I'm not going Bernard Raymond. I'm actually going to go with my man, Trevor Penning. That's who I'm going with. So he's sliding all the way down, but he's still going to be in the first round. I just think it's the right pick. There we go. I can't speak. So that's where I'm going with that one. What about you?
All right. Well, I think I had edge for this pick just
because
you did.
You had Trayvon Walker for crying out loud here.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be available. He will not be available here at pick 23. But with the health concerns around J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, I don't know if they'll be able to keep him, although I believe Chandler has said that money is not the most important thing, but that's usually what guys say when money's the most important thing. So for now, edge is a glaring need right now. And David Ojabo is the best available one. So I'm going to go ahead and have David come up here, number 23, set. The Cardinals can have some guys on the roster that are going to be getting some sacks next year.
Hey, you know what? I agree with you. It could go that way. It could go also offensive line, I think. So I'm sticking with the offensive line because why not? So next pick, you had David Ojabo going here to the Cowboys. I had Carl Falaftis. Both of them are off the board for us. Where are you going here?
Yeah, Ben, I had to. This was the most difficult pick for me to make here.
Why? Because they're going to screw it up?
Well, it's just because, like, do you go ahead and take who is best available right here? Like, because Dallas obviously has some needs, right? Like, they have a need at linebacker. They need somebody, not just Micah Parsons there. Leighton Van Der Esch, we don't know if he's going to be back.
Yeah.
We're also hearing buzz about Amari Cooper getting cut. And then Dalton Schultz, tight end, and Michael Gallup are also, I believe, not tagged yet or signed. So is receiver going to become a need for the Dallas Cowboys here? It's just tough to say right now. There's a lot of questions. I need a couple moves to be made before I have a clearer picture. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and take a player that I think is solid and also somewhat fits a need here, kind of like maybe not necessarily a best available player at the moment, but Keir Elam from Florida, cornerback, help the secondary out. I think they could go some other different ways. Ideally, I'd like to see them go linebacker here. So maybe this is something where Dallas trades up to get a guy like Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean, or maybe they just trade out of the first round entirely because they're like, well, nobody is available that we really need right now. So let's just accumulate a couple more picks. Who knows?
Yep. I could see that going either way with that. And I had Carl Falaftis, obviously. I'm actually going to Ojabo. So I'm doing what you did last time.
Okay.
This pick. So
another reason why I like that Ojabo pick last week is just because I think he's small and fast enough that he could not just play edge, but also outside linebacker, kind of do what Leighton Van Der Esch does.
So I think David Ojabo fits for me there. And it just, it makes sense. Number 25 to the Bills. I had Treylon Burks. Obviously he's above. This is where Drake London's going. I'm not confident in this pick at all, like 100% not confident, but I'm going Drake London here. He's a bigger receiver, kind of what they were looking at a little bit too. So again, this is the one pick in the whole draft. I'm like, this is just a dumb pick, but this is what I got. I'm going to go, I really couldn't find another spot where I felt like he fit. So I'm going to go Drake London here, 25.
Yeah, I actually have Drake London going 25 here too, Ben. I think wide receiver is definitely the move for Buffalo here because Emmanuel Sanders is most likely going to be gone. Cole Beasley just got permission to seek a trade, so definitely going to need a weapon opposite of Stephon Diggs. We saw the offensive showdown between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So if you can get Allen another weapon that can be lethal, we're not as high on Drake London, obviously, but I definitely think he's going to go in the first round. So Drake London right here, I'm with you on that.
And I think and I think I'll let you take this one, but I think we're on the same page with this next one. I don't think it's going to change. So
I'm not going to change it. Tyler Linderbaum, man. I've seen some people saying that they might go receiver here just because of Julio Jones' health concerns. And I'm just like that. It's just not a big enough need for me right now.
Yeah,
go ahead and get Linderbaum, who fills a need, who can help open up holes for your big running back Derrick Henry, who can give you more protection for your quarterback Ryan Tannehill. That just makes more sense.
Yep, I'm going to go Tyler Linderbaum here. Easy pick for me. So yeah, moving on to 27 to the Buccaneers. I had Matt Corral going here. I will tell you, I'm not going to that route at all. I'm actually going a pick that you chose last time. David Bell had grew on me a little bit.
Yes.
So he went from the Dolphins, which I had at 29, so not too far, but I have David Bell going here to the Buccaneers. There we go. I have David Bell.
Yeah. I would still have David Bell going the first round, but after they tagged Godwin and after Bell didn't wow at the combine, I still think David Bell probably should be a first round pick, but he won't be because of the way that he measured up there. Also, I was looking through, and Tampa Bay did have some guys from their offensive line that retired.
Oh, that's true. You know what? Didn't see that. Dang it.
Yeah. See, this is where I'm going to convince you on a pick next week. So, Kenyon Green, a guard from Texas A&M.
That's who I had. That's why I go into the Packers because it'd been the Packers pick.
Yeah, but, I think you got to help set up Kyle Trask or whoever your quarterback's going to be. So he has Godwin, Evans to work with. Those guys are one of the best duos in the league. So I don't think getting a wide receiver is big of a need now. I think that offensive line is something that needs to be touched up on here.
Dang it, Ben. I'm an idiot. Dang it. So we have the Packers next. You went Jahan Dotson. I went Kenyon Green because I felt like that was going to be a Packers type pick where they screw it over. Who they go here? Do they go Dotson? Do they go Bell? I know you said Bell wouldn't be in the top probably 32. So
with David Bell being available here, I would take him. But again, I don't think that he's going to be taken in the first round just because of the way he measured up. So I'm going to stick with Dotson here, who I think had a pretty good combine. And now that Rodgers is in town, it's like, okay, you better not mess this up and take a receiver. I still don't think Green Bay is going to, but it's just like now that Rodgers is in town, and I don't think that they have done anything to keep Marquez Valdes-Scantling in town, but they did tag Devontae. So please get another wide receiver to help out your $50 million a year quarterback now.
Okay. Yes. I'm actually going to agree with you. They need to do a wide receiver, and that's probably the best one on my board that's available. So I'm going to go Dotson here to the Green Bay Packers. And I think it makes sense. It's a make sense pick through and through. So next we have the Dolphins, which I had David Bell going to. I don't know why. That's dumb. And you had my man, Trevor Penning going. I had Trevor Penning going higher, obviously. I'm actually going to go here to a guy I did not have on my board in the first round last time. And that is Daniel Falalale, if I say it right. He's 6'8", 400 pounds from Minnesota. He is a massive human being.
Huge.
He's a massive dude. That's who I'm going to go with. He's a guy that's slowly creeping into the top 32. And I think he's going to go here to the Dolphins, give some protection to Tua.
I mean, if you need a guy to block Jordan Davis, maybe that's the man that was born to do that. But I'm going offensive line here, and since Penning is on the board still here, I'm going to go with that pick. I like the thought of getting protection for Tua, who I'm not very high on, but if you want to keep him healthy, that's been Tua's had some health issues. He's also had some issues with getting protection, I think, if I remember correctly. So
yeah.
Protect your franchise quarterback, I guess, in their eyes.
That's what you got to go. You got to go with. So I'm going to go with you're going to do this next pick, but I think we both went corner this pick last time. Do we both stick corner here? That's my question. You went Kaiir Elam, but you already have him gone. So who are you putting here?
Yeah, I still have them picking a pick in the secondary here. So I'm going to go Daxton Hill from Michigan. Safety.
Oh, interesting. Interesting one.
Yeah, I actually think safety might fit a better need for them than corner. But secondary definitely needs help. They had one of the worst pass defenses last year. And if you're going to try to go toe to toe with Josh Allen, I think you gotta go and help out your secondary a little bit.
I agree with you. I'm going to stick with my pick from last time, Andrew Booth Jr. Still think he's kind of underrated. He does have some issues here and there, but I think he's got some very quick feet. I think he's a guy that can be on the edge of that first round. So go Andrew Booth Jr. And then we got the Bengals, who, let's be honest, it's like the Packers. We know what they need. They need offensive line. I went Nicholas Petit-Frere, a guy that I thought was going to go the first round. I still think he could squeeze in, but I think he's going to be more second round guy. And you went Charles Cross, which is just a shame. That's all I'm going to say.
I did not know enough about the offensive lineman, but Charles Cross will not be available past pick.
So I'm actually going to go. I had a weird spot here. I'm going to go Bernard Raymond, who I had originally at 23 of the Cardinals. I'm having him go here. I think he's right there. He's a very talented, very raw, but very talented offensive tackle. So that's where I'm going to go here. And you better not mess this up.
Yeah, I mean, Packers don't take wide receivers and Bengals don't take offensive linemen, right? But I got them taking a lineman here too. I got them taking Zion Johnson, guard from Boston College, a guy that really kind of wowed the combine, helped make a name for himself. If I remember correctly, he was the strongest man at the combine with the most reps on the bench press. I want to say it was like 34 or something wild like that. So they're going to address the offensive line. They could go Bernard Raymond here. They could go Zion Johnson. They could go a couple of different ways. I like Zion, though, as a prospect.
I do like Zion, and that was a tough one. I was tossing those two. And so I'm interested to see who you go here. You went Kenyon Green. Obviously, you went higher, and we both are kind of – I feel like this could go either way with the Lions. I had Jordan Davis. We won't talk about that. That was my one. That was my
my
mulligan.
My Charles Cross.
That was my mulligan. So who do you got here at 32?
Well, I have written down Daxton Hill, so obviously that's not going to happen because I already have him going to the Chiefs, so I must have been either very tired or something. So since you mentioned him earlier, I do think secondary is something Detroit takes, so I'm going to go with Andrew Booth here.
Yeah, and he's a guy that
I've been seeing people go a lot of different ways here. I've been seeing people say Detroit could go QB here. I've seen them saying they could go wide receiver here, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, they have some young receivers in the building already with Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. They also got Quintez Cephas. So I don't know if adding another youthful receiver for Jared Goff is the move. I think if you're going to add receiver talent, that's something you got to do in free agency. So go out and get another dog in the secondary. Let's go Andrew Booth.
Okay. I'm about to I didn't know where to go with this. I won't be honest with you. I didn't know. Kenyon Green
tough, man, because when you're a team like Detroit that just has so many needs everywhere, it's like you could go anywhere.
Yeah. Kenyon Green obviously would make sense here. He's like probably the best overall talent still left on the board, on my board. I could see him going to the like early second, like maybe the Jaguars or someone like there in the early second kind of pick him up, right? Like I could see that. And I'm going to go with my man, Desmond Ritter. I think he's going to be that, like you said, he has a talent that's probably more of a second round talent. Do you believe in Goff being there long term? We don't know. I don't know where to go. So this is probably a butcher. Just I guess the Lions are becoming my butchered because I had Jordan Davis and now I have Desmond Ritter. But I could go Kenyon Green. And honestly, as I'm thinking about this, and I'm going to talk myself out of this right now on podcast, I'm going to go Kenyon Green. So I'll be honest, I actually kind of want to share this on stream, but I literally had Desmond Ritter with like exclamation points. And
man.
So I will be honest though, it was a flip of a coin. It was either one of those two. So I think I'm going to change course here. I'm going to go Kenyon Green.
Well, let me go ahead and say this about what I think about Goff. So we've seen what he can do with the Rams when he's got everything going for him, right? He's got an offensive-minded head coach. He's got Pro Bowlers and all pros surrounded by or all around him. He can take a guy to the Super Bowl if everything's right for him. So that doesn't put him as a tier 1 QB, but I don't think it puts him in like the lowest tier of QBs either. It's just that Detroit is a team that we have seen every year just not be able to surround their quarterbacks with talent. That's why Matthew Stafford's been dragging them to like these 7-9, 8-8, like playoff borderline seasons. And I don't think Goff is going to be that guy that can drag you there. So Detroit's going to have to be a team that surrounds Goff with guys that they want to see him succeed, because I mean, it is tough to find quarterbacks that can like carry a team like that, like what Stafford did for Detroit. I guess maybe to an extent what Aaron Rodgers has done for Green Bay, but I don't hate Goff. It's just everything needs to be right around him. So
and that's why like Desmond Ritter was a guy that I thought, maybe there. And again,
I feel like Ritter's kind of like a similar boat where it's like you're going to need a lot to be right around him.
I'm high on Ritter. Again, I had him at 20. He's basically dropped out of my top 32. Not that I don't like him. I just think it's a weird spot. And now that I thought about it, I'm like, I don't really like it anymore. But
I don't like him.
I like him.
Meme with Andy going, "I don't want to play with you anymore."
But I do like Kenyon Green, and it was a coin flip. So I'm going to go Kenyon Green here at 32 with the Lions. And so that's our mock draft 2.0, people. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you ridicule it. We all have bad picks. I guarantee we're going to switch this again. So in a few weeks, we'll have our mock 3.0 come out. Once we have more of some of the stuff coming out, more of the workouts and free agents and stuff like that. So that's what we'll have here. But I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys love it. I know it's been good. I will say there is a bonus episode this week. There's a bonus episode, Josh. And unfortunately, Josh decided to depart us on vacation because like every heathen needs a vacation. And I'll be joined by a good friend of the show that came on months ago, and Aaron Lynn of Fifth and Goal Sports. He is going to be joining to talk about March Madness and talk about the brackets and all that fun stuff. So be paying attention. I think this is going to come out on Tuesday night. So this comes out on Monday night. It's going to come out on Tuesday night. So we're going to kind of have a back-to-back days this week. It's a rarity, Josh, that we have 2 episodes a week. It's a rarity. They're blessed.
This is an important time of the year, though, Ben.
It is. So, Josh,
I hope everybody appreciates the work you're putting in to do all this editing and producing and uploading, because let me tell you, just as a guy who does one YouTube video a week that's like lasts 15 minutes, you're putting out stuff that lasts hours. I know what goes into the background details. That's some work, man.
Yeah, and I teach too, which is luckily I'm on spring break though. So I'm on spring break this next week, so I kind of have more flexibility a little bit. But yeah, so I hope, Josh, you have a great vacation. As you're listening to this, he's on vacation, so whatever. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. If you love the episode of the podcast, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Let's hear their thoughts on it. And if you loved it on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That will allow us to see that you want more of us, our glorious faces. And maybe if you comment comment enough, there we go. Maybe we can get a guest on in the next few weeks. Maybe someone that can come on over and give their opinion and mock us, or I don't know. I don't know what it would be.
Mock the mocks.
That is true. Mock the mocks. But we hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I hope if you are on vacation, enjoy it. If you're on a break, spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, and enjoy this nice weather. Also, prayers to Ukraine. We're praying for you. We're always going to keep you in our prayers. So once again, thank you guys. And until next time, we'll see you.